All right, this is episode 4 of rescuing Xena, the warrior princess. This doesn't often happen, but it does happen sometimes, and I want to show you how to repair this if you have to. Hopefully there's a salvage yard in your town or city. There's usually one around, somebody that is like you that likes to save these old engines, and you might find a salvage yard that's going to have this piece right here, because this piece is what is bad on this mower. This one is blown out. The nut is missing. This nut is here, but it's stripped. So the only thing really holding the rewinder on now is this one nut over here. So it's not easy, but we're going to take this apart and replace this piece on this engine block. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm always working on mowers and tearing them apart, and there are times when I can't repair them, and like I'm going through the alphabet here, A through Z. So far, I've gotten every single one of them running except L. And this is what this piece looks like and what's going to be put on this mower. I'm going to make sure it's a match, because sometimes they're a little different. And I can tell by holding it up here like this. So let's see that. I'm doing this wrong. Yeah, I'm doing this wrong. Okay, here we go. I need to get the. Okay, so that nut. I mean, these things sometimes don't match. This nut matches that nut. This nut matches that nut. Okay, this opening appears correct, and that opening appears correct for where the kill switch is. And to get to this, unfortunately for me, I've got to take off the flywheel, and underneath are several 5/16 screws holding this piece on. So let me set the camera on. Let's go to work. Is that in a pretty good spot there? Let's see. That might be pretty good. Okay. The first thing I got to do is get the things that are attached to this base off, which is the gas tank. That's got to come off anyway, so let's get that off. Oh, good. No, there's no hose attached to a carburetor there. And let me get my ear protection on. So I'm getting at the impact wrench to take this nut off. Get that spark plug out of the way. While I'm in here, I'm going to look at the flywheel key, and it is in good position. So that's good to know. Get this big old guy out of the way. Okay, Mr. Flywheel. Before I take the flywheel off, I want to go ahead and get the engine brake off of her. Let me get a clamp on it. So the engine brake is not going to interfere with the removal. I'm going to go ahead and take off the coil is going to come off. Let's do that now. 1/4-inch socket. Move these two because I want this coil completely out of the way. Now this should come off. The magnet's holding it on right now. Okay. All right, so now that is out of the way. Now I'm going to get this flywheel off by using the pterodactyl method. If you work with mowers, I'm sure you know who Terrell is. He's got some great videos out. Really funny guy that knows his stuff. And what you use is a heavy hammer. Before I do that, I'm going to get me some JB Blaster on there just to kind of help with this. Soften up the crud around here. Let that be soaking in. Let me show you what's going on here. All right, so I've got the coil out of the way. Got it, loosed and thrown over here. I've got some JB Blaster around the edge there. Let me get a small screwdriver and scrape away some crud to let that JB Blaster kind of, soak in and let gravity maybe pull a little of it down. And now the fun part is I tell my son we're gonna get out the big hammer and start beating the crap out of things. Is that even on camera? Yeah, okay. All right, one of the things I do that's a little differently, I agree that you do put the nut back on in case you miss a strike with the hammer and damage the threads. So I'm going to put this on and get it down 4 or 5 turns down there. The idea of that is to protect the threads. And now when I do this different is I get a copper slug, like a piece of copper tubing or an old penny from, pre-1982, just make sure it's a copper penny. Let me get that. And you set your copper penny right on top of that crankshaft, putting 2 of them. All right. And then you've got to find an area where you can come in and put leverage upward on this. It's not too difficult with these because the manifold, in the way of some models of Briggs & Stratton, the manifold is right under with that lever, and you can just snap it. Just break it. In this case, we're in good shape. So what I'm going to be using is a really big screwdriver with a flat edge. I'm going to come in under here, get under that flywheel, using this part of the head on this motor as the fulcrum. I'm going to lever that up and hit with a heavy hammer. And go around the other side. Let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so I've got the nut on there and a couple of copper slugs on top. And that way I'm not damaging the top of that crankshaft to where the nut won't go back on. I don't want that. Let's see, still got my hearing protection on. This is gonna get loud. So I'm pushing up on the lever and I strike right here. And the little copper things sometimes don't stay in place. That's okay, just find them. And now turn this a little bit so you're hitting a different part of the so you're putting pressure on a different part of the flywheel. You may have to do this 4 or 5 times, maybe more. So we're going to turn it again. Put the little copper slugs in place, push down. It's still not loose. Move it this way. Try it again. Still not coming loose. Move it around. Okay, that did it. So the flywheel is loose now. Get my little copper slugs out of the way. Unscrew the nut. That comes off. Now here we go. The flywheel is loose now. And the flywheel key is still in place. It's on the flywheel. It's not on the crankshaft. So I'm going to set that aside. Don't want that flywheel to get lost. And let me show you what we're looking at here. So to get this piece off, I had to take the flywheel off, and now I'm going to be removing these 5/16 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I believe that's it. So let me set this down now. And we're going to start getting these 5/16 screws out. I do want to brush some of this debris away because we're going to be exposing part of the engine that I don't want any stuff falling in. It's where the crankcase vents, there is an area that you want to keep pretty clean. We'll see that in a few minutes. All right, so I've blown a lot of that away. And well, there's my son. Bringing over the granddaughter. Let's see. I'll resume this in a minute. Come back, we're going to take this thing off.